What's up, guys? We are back with Saturday college basketball action here on January 25th. We're breaking down 12 games today on this loaded slate and looking at leans against the spread and on the over-under. Friday was brutal, guys. No doubt about it. I felt like we were just taking bad beat after bad beat. Long Island -1.5. They did at least straight up lose that game fairly convincingly. So that run for them had to end eventually. I didn't think that was going to be in this matchup, but eventually they had to drop a game, and that did happen. But after that, guys, it just got worse and worse. Dayton -5.5. They end up winning that game by 5 points. So losing that one by a half a point feels pretty gross. Purdue -3.5. They came through easily. So our thumbnail play was good as gold. That was just a bloodbath in that one. So good job from Purdue. But St. Bonaventure, guys, they went into halftime with a significant lead and end up somehow not being able to cover 12 full points. So pretty brutal stuff to go 1-4 on the day. You hate to see it, but we are in for a big bounce back here on a loaded Saturday slate. College basketball Saturdays always feel great. Guys, do me a big favor. Hit that like button for this video. I'll take a pity like after all that run bad yesterday. I need it, guys. I need it. So help me out if you can. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I would really appreciate that as well. We just hit a new milestone where we hit 47,000 subscribers or something like that. 46,000 subscribers. So let's get on our way to 47,000. If you're really a big time supporter, you can sign up for a channel membership. You get early access to all of my videos. You also get your name up on screen in every video, just like right now. I really appreciate everyone watching this. Big shout out to all the channel members. All of our videos, guys, are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We've got a team of professional cappers over there who are putting in tons of work every single day on the premium picks over there. We're covering all the major sports right now. NFL, NCAA basketball. It's going to be a huge day of premium college basketball picks over there. NBA, UFC, and the NHL has been on a very good run recently. So, guys, it's a great time to sign up right now with so many sports going on. Just click the link in the description to get over to StumpTheSpread.com. And guys, if a premium membership is not for you right now, no problem. That's fine. Click on that link anyway to go over there. You can sign up for a free email newsletter. You'll get free picks straight to your inbox once a day. You'll also get updates on our results for our premium picks. So that's a great tool to just keep you in the know of how things are going. So guys, let me know in the comments. Also, any bets you're looking at today, I'll give you my best advice on all of them. I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Obviously, there's early college basketball games, and I'm going to be very busy pumping out premium plays tomorrow. So we'll be in the YouTube comments for sure, but we'll also be a little bit busy. So I might not get back to you before game time on some of them, especially on those early games, but I will do my absolute best. As always, guys, our favorite picks from this video will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day out there. We've got a nice one, guys. We've got the Pittsburgh Panthers going on the road to take on the Syracuse Orange. Pittsburgh comes into this game, guys, playing a little bit, I don't know, they've had a decent season, but they have lost 4 in a row. They just lost 78-75 against Clemson. Now they've got to go on the road to face Syracuse, losing 4 in a row, with those losses being at Duke, against Louisville, at Florida State, and against Clemson. Those aren't horrendous losses by any stretch of the imagination, so I don't think it's time to, close up shop there on the Pittsburgh Panthers. They're still 12-6 on the season. They've got a monster there in Lowe, putting up almost 18 points per game and almost 6 assists to go along with it. This is a top 60 offensive team as well, putting up 80.4 points per game. Their rebounding numbers aren't necessarily amazing. Their defense is pretty mediocre as well, so definitely still some holes in this team. I'm not saying they're necessarily, like a big-time elite program at the moment, but they're doing what they can. I think they're going to be a very solid team down the stretch, and that loss against Clemson was a brutal one. It wasn't overtime. They got outscored 12-9 in the extra period. They did what they could, but man, when your opponent shoots 52% from three-point range in a game, you're going to have a really hard time coming away with a win. So we'll see what they can do here. They're going on the road to take on the Syracuse Orange, who are 9-10 this year. They're coming off of a loss themselves. They were playing at Clemson. They lost that one 86-72, so not as quite a good of a showing. Obviously not an overtime game in that one, but they did do some positive things. The Orange haven't had an easy season, but they shot 52.4% in that game, so kept things very, very competitive. They did not have a great time on the glass. They didn't do a very good job defensively either, allowing their opponent to shoot 56% from the field and 45% from three, so definitely plenty to still work on for the Orange. I mean, they're not a great team, guys. They don't have any monster offensive, players. They're not really they don't have a superstar to build around exactly. The rebounding numbers, though, are very, very solid. Defense, not great. Offense is okay. They've done some good things this season. They played a very good game to beat Notre Dame. They beat Boston College, which obviously that's not that big of a deal, but beating Georgia Tech looks nice. They played very competitive games against Texas Tech and Texas there in the non-conference schedule. So they've done some good things this year. Has it all worked out, to wins? This is the team that's going to be in the NCAA tournament. I wouldn't say that, but they've definitely done some good things. So looking at the numbers here, guys, Syracuse, they're getting 7.5 points at home. We've got a total of 150. The Pittsburgh Panthers, guys, 1-4 against spread on the road. They're 10-6-2 to the over. Syracuse, 4-6-1 against spread at home. They're actually 10-9 to the under. So, guys, I do think there's reason to look at the over in this game. Neither teams are really, amazing on defense. So you could see this getting to a total of over 150. Each team scoring around, 75 points. Not too crazy to me. In terms of the side, I like the Syracuse Orange here getting 7.5 points. They have a pretty solid home court advantage. They're not necessarily the most crazy team out there, and obviously they're 4-6-1 against spread record at home is not incredible, but it's good enough. And the Panthers haven't been a very good road team themselves, so I think Syracuse does just enough to keep this game close and probably end up losing by somewhere between 3 to 5 points. Next up, guys, we've got another relatively early game. This is a noon game between number 14, Mississippi State. They're going on the road to take on South Carolina. Mississippi State comes into this game 15-4 in the season, so a pretty good season-long record, but they've had their bumps in the road for sure. They've actually lost 3 out of their last 4, but guys, they lost a 5-point game against Kentucky. They lost a blowout, albeit, that was a blowout game against Auburn, but that was at number 1 Auburn. Then they got a win, a nice 84-81 win against Ole Miss, and they kind of laid an egg there at Tennessee. It was they're at number 6 Tennessee. They lost that game 68-56. So they're definitely in a little bit of a bounce back spot. They've got a very solid team out there. Josh Hubbard, 16.5 points per game. Nothing wrong with that. The shooting numbers are a little bit inefficient, but other than that, we're liking what we're seeing from this, Bulldogs team in general. They're a very good offensive team, scoring over 80 points per game. Their rebounding numbers are very good. Their defensive numbers are fine, and they're a team that can move the ball as well. So a lot to like here for this Mississippi State Bulldogs team for sure. They've been playing through a murderer's row of opponents, so they're going to be pretty ready to take on somebody that's, not insane, but they do have kind of a look-ahead spot in this game. They have number 4 Alabama on deck. So we'll see what they can do, see if they can stay focused here as they go on the road to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks, who are 10-9 on the season. They come into this game fresh off a 1-point heartbreaker loss against number 5 Florida. Yeah, they gave them all they could take, but just not enough to get them over the edge. That's a very solid, home play there. They really, really took it to them, but not quite enough to get over the hump. They also had a heartbreaker, a 3-point loss playing at home in that one against Auburn. They did get blown up by Alabama, so there have been problems. Don't get me wrong. And when they played Mississippi State, guys, earlier this season, they got absolutely obliterated at Mississippi State, losing 85-50. So tough stuff there. We've seen, good stuff from Colin Murray-Boyles. He's put up good numbers this year, and he's shooting 60% from the field, which is awesome. The season-long numbers, though, don't tell a great story. Kind of a middle-of-the-road rebounding team. Not that great offensively either, so they've got a ways to go before they can really, expect to win games against these elite opponents, but they've done some good things recently, so we'll see what they're able to do in this one, see what their response will be to losing another super close game against a elite opponent. So they're at home in this one. They're getting 6.5 points. We've got a total of 140.5. Mississippi State, they're 3-2 against the spread on the road, so not a terrible road team. They're 10-9 to the over. South Carolina, 6-6 against the spread at home themselves. They're 12-7 to the under this season. Guys, this is a little bit of a tough spot. If it wasn't for that earlier season history, I would maybe be thinking about, potentially taking the home team in this one and the points, but I think, you lost by 35. How much can you possibly turn that thing around? Go ahead and give me the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I think they get another convincing win, probably winning this one by 10. They've got to be pretty desperate to put up wins here. They've been having trouble lately as well, playing against the elite competition out there in the SEC, so I think they find a way to get the job done, probably win this game by at least 10 points here. They are going on the road, so that makes things a little bit tougher, but I think they find a way to make it happen. Next up, guys, we're looking at the number 9 Kentucky Wildcats going on the road to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Kentucky 14-4 on the season. They're currently ranked 9th in the nation, so things have been going pretty well. They are in a little bit of a bounce back spot, coming off of an absolutely insane game, a 102-97 loss there against number 4 Alabama. Yeah, that amount of offense, guys, all 199 points happened in regulation there. Quite the game, obviously. A real barn burner. Kentucky being at home, they had their chances. They tried their best. They couldn't quite make it happen. They shot 40% from 3 in the game. They kept things close to even on the boards. There were a massive amount of free throws in this game. 34 for Alabama, 20 for Kentucky. Cosby kind of tilting to get outshot at the free throw line playing at home, but what are you going to do? Yeah, the Wildcats, guys, they just couldn't quite get it done in that game, despite, 4 starters scoring double figures, 3 guys coming off the bench to score in double figures. This is an absolutely loaded Kentucky Wildcats team. However, they're about to take on a challenge that has been a challenge for them this season, guys. They're playing on the road here. I mean, their last road game was at Mississippi State. They did win that game 95-90, so good stuff there. Before that, though, they had lost at Georgia. So this is not a team that necessarily has been amazing on the road, but they haven't been on the road very much either. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Obviously, their season-long numbers look amazing. One of the best offensive teams in the nation, one of the best rebounding teams as well. The assist numbers are off the charts. Like, this is an excellent, excellent basketball team. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road in a conference game to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores, who have quietly had quite the season themselves. They're up to 15-4 on the year. Maybe they haven't played the toughest schedule. They have already dropped 3 games in SEC play, losing to Mississippi State by 12, losing to Mizzou at Mizzou by 9, okay, and their last time out, guys, kind of getting waxed by number 4 Alabama, but that was at Alabama, guys. That's a pretty tough place to play. They're back home now, so we'll see what they can do at home. The last time they played at home, they knocked off number 6 Tennessee by 1 point, so they've done some pretty freaking good stuff at home, this Vanderbilt team has. They've got a monster in Jason Edwards, putting up 17.3 points per game. He's shooting 45% from the field also, which is pretty nice. They're 33rd in the nation, scoring 82.3 points per game. Their defense is good. Their rebounding numbers do concern me a little bit, especially in this matchup against an elite Kentucky rebounding squad, but we'll see. We'll see what they can do in this game, guys. Looking at the numbers here, Vanderbilt getting 2.5 points. We've got a total of 165.5. Kentucky, they're 1-2 against the spread when playing on the road this season. They are 10-8 to the over this year also. Vanderbilt 7-4 against the spread at home. They are 10-9 to the under. Guys, this feels a little bit tough, but I'm going to be siding with the Vanderbilt Commodores getting 2.5 points. I'm not sure this is going to go in the pinned comment. I also think you could talk me into the over in this game, but I definitely think this is an upset alert situation for Kentucky. I know they're coming off of that loss, but it was a pretty, tough loss there, and they've got Tennessee on deck. Vanderbilt, on the other hand, guys, they have Oklahoma on deck, so I don't think that's quite as big of a deal. Go ahead and give me Vanderbilt at home in this game. Going on at the exact same time as that Kentucky game, guys, we have number 13, Texas A&M, going on the road to take on Texas. The Aggies come into this game fresh off a nice win there at Ole Miss. That was a close one, guys. 63-62, a 1-point win. The game before that, they had a nice win against LSU. The road game before that, though, they lost at Kentucky. They've done some very good stuff this year. They've already played Texas once this year. It was a 20-point win at home there for Texas A&M. So they have to have a lot of confidence coming into this game. They have Oklahoma on deck, so they're probably not super worked up about this having a crazy matchup on deck. So we're expecting good things here from Phelps. Wade Taylor IV has been a monster this season. He's dealt with some injuries and stuff, but he has been looking good in general. In terms of their season-long numbers, this is one of the best rebounding teams in the nation. They're a very good defensive team as well. I do worry about their offense overall. The ball movement, not really there, but they find a way to put up numbers. I mean, not amazing numbers, albeit they scored 88 points against Alabama. They scored 68 against LSU. This is a team that's going to score around 65 to 70 points in most matchups. But the last time they played Texas, they scored 80 points. So we'll see if they can replicate that in this one as they go on the road this time to take on the Longhorns, who are 13-6 this year. They come into this game fresh off a big, much desperately needed win there against Mizzou. They were at home for that one, so they're home for this one as well. But a 61-53 win over then number 22 Mizzou. Let's not freak out too much, guys. I mean, they played Florida at Florida, and they got destroyed by 24. They did play Tennessee, and they were at home for that one. They kept that game close, eventually losing by 4, though. They kept it close against Auburn at home as well, but guys, when they went up against Texas A&M on the road, it was a different story. That did not go well. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Looking at the numbers, guys, Trey Johnson, 18.5 points per game. Pretty crazy stuff. This is a good offensive team, but the rebounding's not there. The defense is good. For sure, the defense is good, so got to give them credit there, but the rebounding is where I really think this could be a problem for them in this game. They're getting 1.5 point favorites at home, so Texas A&M actually the underdog now after opening as the favorite. That's pretty interesting. We've got a total of 140.5. Texas A&M, they're 2-2 against spread on the road, 12-7 to the under. Texas 8-4 against spread at home, 9-8-2 to the over. So first of all, guys, I think this is a good spot to look at that under 140.5. I don't think we're seeing a crazy amount of offense in this game. Both teams can play some very, very stingy defenses, giving up, mid 60s on average. So I think we'll see offense at a bit of a premium here. So the under makes sense. I also, guys, I definitely like Texas A&M here. I know it's a road spot. I know the Longhorns have been really good at home, all that, sure. But this is a different situation, guys. Texas A&M beat them by 20. You don't beat a team by 20 if, we just made a couple mistakes here and there. Like, no, dog, you lost by 20. So give me the Aggies here on the road. I think they find a way to get this done, Maybe not by 20, but I think they can find a way to keep this game within 1 point. That's all we need to cash this bet. So definitely love me some Texas A&M plus 1.5 playing on the road in this one. This is definitely going in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New Mexico Lobos going on the road to take on the UNLV Rebels. New Mexico 16-4 this season. They've been playing great recently, winning a very comfortable game against Boise State, winning that one by 19. They also beat Fresno, guys, in a walkover game pretty much. They did lose that crazy game at San Jose State. That was clearly a wake-up call for this team that had been just on fire recently. They're still 8-1 out in the Mountain West, which is not the easiest conference, guys. The Mountain West stand up. Like, this is they're pretty crazy out there. Watch some Mountain West games, guys. That's good basketball for sure. Donovan Dent, 19 points, 7 assists, almost 50% from the field. Crazy stuff. This team scoring almost 84 points per game. That's basically in the top 20 in the nation. They're a great rebounding team. Their defense is solid, and their offense, guys, really can move the ball. So not a whole lot of weaknesses here for this Lobos squad. I'm expecting good stuff from them here the rest of the way, and they're going on the road in this game to take on UNLV. 11-8 on the season. The Rebels are coming off of a tough 2-point loss there at home against Wyoming. Now they get to stay at home, but they have to take on the best team, at least by record, in the Mountain West right now. So we'll see if they've got a bounce back in them, guys. It seems like a bit of a big ask to me. I mean, they've had some success, that crazy 3-point win against Utah State, but other than that, I don't know. I mean, they beat San Diego State. Like, that's good. That's a pretty decent win, but I don't know if I really can fully trust them here, guys. We'll see what happens. I mean, Thomas Jr. putting up almost 16 points and 4.5 assists per game is nice, but this is a terrible rebounding team, really, really bad. The defense isn't very good, and they're only putting up 71.2 points per game on average. Over their last 3 games, they've only scored, 61, 76, and 65 points, respectively. So not expecting them to really have a great time keeping up here with New Mexico. And look at the numbers. The Rebels are getting only 3 points. We've got a total of 147.5. New Mexico 2-3 against spread on the road. They're 10-9 to the over. UNLV, guys, they're only 3-7-1 against spread at home. They're 10-9 to the under. I don't care about the over/under in this game, guys, but I do like New Mexico. I don't love taking all these road teams. I know I'm taking some road teams here, but sometimes you just got to do it, and I think this is a great spot to take New Mexico. I don't think they're going to have a big letdown here. I mean, we see UNLV, they've got Utah State on deck. New Mexico, guys, they also have Utah State on deck. So we'll just see. I don't think this is a massive look-ahead spot for either team. So give me the New Mexico Lobos on the road in this one. Another game that has a fantastic shot to end up in the pinned comment. Moving right along, we're looking at the Colorado Buffaloes going on the road to take on the Arizona Wildcats. Colorado comes in this game 9-9 on the year. They're straight up not having a great time. They've lost their last 7 in a row, I believe it is. Their last game, an 83-67 loss against BYU. A game that it looked like they were going to have a chance to, keep it competitive in. That just did not happen. So now what do they got to do? They got to go on the road to take on Arizona. So things just not looking the same as they did last season, guys. Colorado lost a lot of guys, and yeah, Tristan da Silva, he's playing for the Orlando Magic right now. So not a ton of help coming through the door there for Colorado. They've been a pretty mediocre offensive team. Julian Hammond III leading the way for them with 13.7 points per game. That's a far cry from what we were seeing a season ago, guys. The rebounding numbers, very mediocre. They don't play much defense. They do move the ball on offense, so that's nice, but the last road game, guys, they lost by 10 at Oklahoma State. The road game before that, they lost at UCF. Like, this is not a team that's having a good time. They're 0-7 in Big 12 play, so we'll see if they can turn it around. They're going to get another chance this Saturday, guys, taking on the Wildcats, who are 12-6 on the year. They're coming off of a blowout win at Oklahoma State. Now they get to go back home. Their last home game, they got an 11-point win against number 25 Baylor. So loving what we're seeing from Arizona State lately, guys. I mean, they're 6-1 in Big 12 play. That's very respectable. Caleb Love putting up 15.6 points per game, shooting 40% from the field. Not too much wrong with that. This is an elite rebounding team, an elite offensive team. They play good defense. The ball movement is there. Like, there's just not a whole lot of weaknesses for this Arizona team. They got off to a slow start this season. I was ready to wash my hands of them after they got blown out by Wisconsin, blown out by Duke, losing to Oklahoma, losing to West Virginia. They also lost to UCLA. But ever since that, guys, they've went on a roll here. And once conference play started, they've been absolutely killing it. So like what we're seeing from Arizona coming into this game, and the odds makers love them too, guys. They are 15.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 150.5. Colorado only 1-2 against the spread on the road. They are 10-7-1 to the over. Arizona 5-4 against the spread at home, and 10-8 to the over themselves. Guys, the side in this one, honestly, I don't really love either side. I guess give me Arizona minus 15.5, but I don't care about that too much. This is a big over/under spot for me, and I think this is a game that's going to go way, way over. 150.5, like, we just need each team to score like 75 points. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. We could also see Arizona score 90 points in this game and really help us get us there. So, yeah, definitely go ahead and give me the over in this game. An over-under play that has a chance to end up in the pinned comment. We don't do too many of those, but I think this one has an excellent chance to make it in. Next up, we're looking at the number 15 Oregon Ducks going on the road to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Oregon comes into this game 16-3 on the season, having a pretty great time out there, fresh off of an 82-71 win at home against Washington. They did lose their game before that at home against Purdue, but Purdue's looking pretty freaking good. So we like what we've seen from Oregon so far this season. They're 5-3 in Big Ten play, so not necessarily incredible, but workable for sure. They've got a decent leading scorer in Nate Biddle. I mean, 13.5 points per game isn't amazing, but he's shooting 51% from the field, so very, very efficient out there. We like what we're seeing from them offensively, top 100 in the nation. Their defense is good. The rebounding numbers, not amazing, but not terrible, and they move the ball enough to get the job done here. They've got some very good resume-building wins on there, guys. I mean, they took down Alabama early in the season, a win against Texas A&M. They'll definitely take that. A nice win against Maryland, beating Ohio State is good as well. So liking what we're seeing from Oregon here as they go on the road to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who are only 10-9 on the season, guys. They do come into this game playing some of their best basketball of the year, though. They've won 2 in a row at home, getting a win against number 20 Michigan, and no letdown for them after that game, guys. They got the 72-67 win at Iowa in their next one. Dawson Garcia looking like an absolute monster. He hit that logo 3 at the buzzer to get them over the top against, a very, very solid team. And Michigan, pretty good team. We like what we saw from Minnesota in that one. So Dawson Garcia, those 19.1 points per game, shooting nearly 50% from the field. The problem is with the season-long numbers here, guys. They are not amazing. They're 321st in the nation in points per game. They are 267th in total rebounding. This is just not a team that's shown a ton of strength except for over their last couple games. So we'll see what they can do here. I mean, they are going to be at home, so that certainly helps, but they're getting 4.5 points. Okay, we've got a total of 137.5. Oregon 2-2 against the spread on the road, 10-9 to the over. Minnesota only 3-9-1 against the spread at home, 10-9 to the under. Guys, at some point this little run has to come to an end. Is it going to be here against the Oregon Ducks? I think there's a chance. I don't think this game is going to go in the pinned comment for me, but I would rather be on the Oregon side than the Minnesota side. I mean, they just have to get it to, get a 5-point win for Oregon here. They're playing pretty well. It's not a massive look ahead. I mean, they do have to go to UCLA coming up, so maybe it's a look ahead spot, but it's, a big, big look ahead spot here for Minnesota, guys. They have Michigan State, going on the road to Michigan State on deck. So go ahead and give me Oregon on the road in this one, but not quite enough confidence to be putting it in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're going to look at some Missouri Valley Conference play. We've got the Drake Bulldogs going on the road to take on the Missouri State Bears. Drake comes into this game second currently in the MVC. They've got a 7-2 conference record behind only Bradley. They're 17-2 on the season, so they've done some great stuff. They got a win over Kansas State earlier this season. A win over Belmont looks not too bad. Their conference losses, guys, were at UIC, who's been pretty good, and a weird game against Murray State that I wouldn't really have expected them to lose, but they've won their last 5 in a row. Their last time out, a 10-point win against Valparaiso, who's been a better team this season than Missouri State, who's 0-9 in conference play. We love what we see from this, Drake Bulldog squad overall. Not amazing rebounding numbers, but they are an elite defensive team, and they can score it. I mean, they just put up 81, 71, and 66 over their last 3 games, so some pretty respectable stuff. They get to play on the road in this one, which obviously doesn't feel great, but they are playing at Missouri State, which is not a team that necessarily has a great home court advantage at all. They're not really filling up that great Southern Bank Arena too often, so we'll see what Drake can do on the road in this game. I mean, they're taking on Missouri State, only 7-13 on the season. Like I said, 0-9 there in Missouri Valley Conference play. They've been stinking it up, guys. They just lost by 11 points at UNI, so that can't feel great. Losing at Illinois State isn't amazing either. They are back home for this one, so maybe the idea is that they can make it slightly competitive, but guys, I'm going to have to see it to believe it. Des White leading the way with 15.5 points per game, but he's only shooting 38% from the field. This is a terrible rebounding team. They only put up 70 points per game on offense. That is 306th in the nation. Their defense is terrible. They have very little size and athleticism. This is just not a team that I find very, very good at all. So looking at the numbers here, the Bears are getting 8.5 points at home. We've got a total of only 120.5, a very low total, but guys, Drake 2-2 against spread on the road, 11-6 to the under. Missouri State 3-4 against spread at home, and 9-9 to the over-under. Guys, this is a great spot, I think to take Drake here at anything under 10 points, I think is a fantastic spot. I think Drake probably wins this game by 15. Missouri State, not very good. Not a lot of home court advantage here for them, and I think we're going to see the Drake Bulldogs absolutely roll in this one. This is a play that's definitely going into that pinned comment. Headed over to the Big East, guys, we're looking at DePaul going on the road to take on Butler. The DePaul Blue Demons, guys, 10-10 on the season. They're coming off of a blowout loss against Creighton, which an obvious letdown spot for them after a nice road win at Georgetown. This is a team that's kept some games weirdly competitive. I mean, they kept it very close against Marquette, but they lost to Villanova by 44 points. So it's kind of hard to know what you're going to get from them on a nightly basis, but it really has not been an amazing season. I mean, they're 1-8 in conference play this year. Jacob Meyer leading the way for them with 13 points per game. That's not going to get me going. This isn't a very good rebounding team. Their offensive numbers are very mediocre as well. Their defense is maybe okay, but definitely not great. It's just not a very good team. They can surprise the occasional opponent if they're completely being overlooked, but we'll see what they can do here going to Butler. I mean, they do have UConn on deck, so it's kind of a look ahead spot. And just in general, guys, this DePaul team not exactly filling me with tons of optimism here. The Butler Bulldogs, on the other hand, doing some positive things, but also not having the chillest time. They're 8-11 on the season. They are only 1-7 out there in the Big East. They're fresh off of an 80-78 heartbreaking loss there at number 19 UConn. The game before that, they got a win against Seton Hall. They kept things very, very close against Creighton. Game before that, though, they did get blown out on the road at Providence, but they don't have to worry about that, guys. They're not playing this game on the road. Butler's at home for this game, and they have to feel like they have a much better chance. Telfort leading the way for them, 15.7 points and 3.4 assists per game. This is not an elite offensive team necessarily, but they do play some defense. Their rebounding is not great across the board, but it's at least, competitive there with what you would expect to see from DePaul. And I do like what we have seen in general from Butler more than what I've seen from DePaul. They've kept a lot of games very close games against Marquette, UConn, Villanova, like a very close game at St. John's. So I think this is a great spot here to be looking at the Butler Bulldogs. They're -5.5 in this one. We've got a total of 144.5. DePaul 1-5 against spread on the road. They're 13-7 to the over. Butler 4-7 against spread at home. They are 10-9 to the over. So not only do I like Butler at -5.5 in this game, I think this is a great spot to look at that over 144.5 as well. I don't think it's going to take too much insanity to get over that number. Neither team plays much defense, so probably one of these plays, either the Butler side or that over, is going to go in the pinned comment. Do I want to have two over/under plays in the pinned comment? Sure, guys. I don't care. I'm going where I find that value. Next up, we've got one of the bigger games on the docket, guys. A big SEC showdown between number 16 Ole Miss and number 22 Missouri. Ole Miss comes into this game 15-4 on the season, but they've lost back-to-back games. A heartbreaker 3-point loss at Mississippi State, and then another tough loss, guys, a 1-point loss against number 13 Texas A&M. So things don't get any easier. Now they got to go on the road and take on Mizzou. Sean Padula going to be hoping for a little bit of a bounce back. I mean, they are not the most elite rebounding team necessarily. Their offense is good, their defense is solid, and they move the ball really well, but they have to come up with a little bit more offense or a little bit more defense or just a little something, guys. Losing these, such close games has to be absolutely devastating. So we'll see if they got a bounce back in them in this game. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a tough environment as they go on the road to take on Missouri, who's 15-4 on the season. I'm not going to say they came out of nowhere, but they've been at least slightly overachieving. The problem is they're coming off of a 61-53 loss there at Texas. So now they get to go back home. We'll see what they can do at home here. It's going to be interesting. This hasn't been the most reliable team. They've played some very close games and come away with some wins. They've had some weird blowouts. They did have that crazy 83-82 win there at number 5 Florida. That's where they pretty much earned the right to become a ranked team, but now I think that's probably going to go away after their loss at Texas. But we'll see. Maybe they get this win, and that turns everything around. The Tigers are a get up and get after it offensive team, guys. 25th in the nation in points per game. Their rebounding numbers, though, concerningly low. We also don't necessarily love what we see from them on defense, although it's not terrible. It's not terrible. They probably don't have to be too worried on the boards here, though, because Ole Miss is not that elite of a rebounding team. So we'll see what we end up getting from these two. It's going to be interesting to see. The Tigers, guys, are 3-point favorites. We've got a total of 143.5. Ole Miss is 4-1 against spread on the road. They are 12-7 to the under. Mizzou 7-7 against spread at home and 10-9 to the under. Guys, I'm taking Ole Miss on the points on the road here. Another road spot. I don't love being in road spots, but I do think Missouri is being a bit overvalued here. I think Ole Miss is a solid team. I do think this could also come down to the very last possession, so I'd rather be on the team with 3 points. I don't know that I have enough faith in this game to necessarily put it in the pinned comment, but I do think, especially given what they've done on the road this season, that Ole Miss getting points here is the side you want to be on. Next up, guys, in probably the absolute biggest game of the day, we've got a Big 12 showdown between number 7 Houston. They're going on the road to take on number 12 Kansas. The Cougars come into this game 15-3 on the season, fresh off a 70-36 win against Utah. Crazy stuff there. Their game before that, though, was a 1-point win on the road against UCF. Not that UCF's terrible necessarily, but not probably supposed to be that close of a game if you're Houston. Their road game before that, they blew out Kansas State. So they've shown that they can get it done on the road. Just, it can be a little bit tougher to get it done on the road, guys, especially in college basketball. We like Cryer, 14 points per game for him. No problem there. This isn't a team that really hangs its head on offense, though. They hang their hat on defense, giving up only 53.9 points per game. Crazy stuff. They're a top 100 rebounding team despite their pace not being insane. They can score it. They definitely can score it. And we love Houston right now, guys. They have been playing really well, and they're doing a great job out there in that Big 12. They're going to have had this game circled for a while. This is a big deal. So we'll see what they can do on the road here to take on the Kansas Jayhawks, who are 14-4 on the season. They're coming off of a nice 13-point win there at TCU. The last time they faced an elite opponent, they got blown out at Iowa State. They did a good job getting a win at Cincinnati, but I don't know if that qualifies as an elite opponent. They also lost at home to West Virginia, a team that's looking better than expected for sure, but not a lot of things have happened that give me a lot of faith in Kansas. Like, the craziest thing they've done is beat Duke before Duke was good. So we'll see what happens. Hunter Dickinson leading the way for this team, obviously. I mean, they're 62nd in the nation rebounding. They're a good rebounding team, no doubt about that, but so is Houston, so I don't see that as a major problem. They're a good offensive team, but not great. Their defense is fine, but not necessarily insane. Definitely not on the level of the Houston Cougars. So looking at the numbers here, guys, I'm not too shocked to see Kansas getting points here at home. They're getting 1.5 points. We've got a total of 127.5. Houston, 2-1 against spread on the road this season. They are 11-7 to the under. Kansas, 5-5 against spread at home. They are 16-2 to the under. That's an NCAA best to the under mark this season. We've got a total here of only 127.5, though, guys. Do we really want to be on the under here? I mean, if you're begging me for an over-under play, I'm not going to go to the over when you got a team that's 16-2 to the under. So go ahead and give me the under, but I really like the Houston Cougars here. This is a play that's definitely going in the pinned comment. I think we see Houston get the win in this one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout win, obviously, but they're only 1.5 point favorites. I think they get the job done here on the road. Obviously playing in a very tough environment, but I think their defense is just going to be too much. The only way I feel like Houston loses this game is if the refs absolutely take this game over and call a million fouls, which is not impossible, obviously, but I just think you want to be on the side of the better team in this spot. Last but not least, guys, we have maybe the actual biggest game of the day. We've got number 6 Tennessee going on the road to take on number 1 Auburn. Tennessee 17-2 on the season. They're coming off of a nice 68-56 win there over number 14 Mississippi State. We love the Tennessee Volunteers, guys. Chaz Lanier, 18.4 points per game. We just love Ziegler as well, guys. Almost 8 assists per game and still, putting up almost 13 points of his own. This is an elite team, guys. They're good on the boards. They're good scoring. They're very good defensively. They've played really well in a lot of situations. The road, though, I don't know, guys. I mean, at Vanderbilt, they took a 1-point loss. At Texas, they got a 4-point win, and I think Texas is pretty bad. At Florida, they got absolutely dismantled, so we'll see what they can do here. It's a very tough road spot to go to Auburn, guys. Probably the toughest environment and toughest team you could possibly play in college basketball right now. So we'll see what they can do, see if they can get the job done, but it is a very big ask. Auburn comes in this game 17-1 on the season. Their only loss was against Duke much earlier in the year. They've been running roughshod over the SEC so far. They are coming off of a scare, though. At Georgia, number 23 Georgia, they won that game by only 2 points. But the game before that, they absolutely dismantled Mississippi State, winning that one by 22. So being at home for Auburn, clearly a big deal. They're, all their home games in SEC play have been absolute blowouts. They blew out Purdue at home even. This is a crazy team, especially at home. Johnny Broome, an absolute monster, future NBAer for sure. 17.9 points per game, 3.2 assists, shooting nearly 55% from the field. Auburn is the 10th highest scoring team in all of NCAA basketball, putting up 85.7 points per game. They're an elite rebounding team. Their defense is very good. You guys don't need me to sit here and tell you how good the Auburn Tigers are. I don't think that's a secret, guys. They are absolutely insane. I think we're going to see very good stuff from Auburn here. They're 5.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 140.5. Tennessee 2-3 against spread on the road. They are 12-7 to the under. Auburn 5-2-1 against spread at home. They are 8 10 and 8 to the over. So in terms of that over of 140.5, I'm going to lean towards the over here. Maybe not super aggressively because both teams can play defense, and we could see this turn into like kind of a more defensive struggle. A very physical game is possible, but I think it's more likely we're going to see a lot of fouls called and eventually see, us get to more like 150 total points or something like that. In terms of the side, guys, I'm definitely leaning towards the Auburn Tigers at -5.5. I'm not sure if this is going to end up in the pin comment. This could even end up, this could end up in the pin comment and as a premium pick. I'm just not 100% sure yet. I need to find some more opinions out there in the, in the field. Talk to some people about this one, but I'm definitely leaning towards Auburn at -5.5. It seems like a very good spot for Johnny Broome to, have a big statement game and for the Tigers to get a comfortable win. That's all the games we have time to cover tonight, guys. Do me a huge favor, hit that like button. Hopefully that brings you good luck on all of your plays. We can't possibly have worse luck than we had on Friday. So Saturday going to be a huge bounce back day for us. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I really appreciate everybody watching this video, guys. Also, you got to get over to stumpthespread.com to get on that email list. There will be a free NCAA basketball pick coming out to you. It could be one of these ones in this video, but it could be one that I didn't even mention yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. You can get on that free email list. You can also sign up for a premium package, guys. We'll probably have somewhere between 5 and 10 premium NCAA basketball picks out there, and you can make your money back on just one winning pick. So we'll see how everything goes tomorrow, guys. Time for a big bounce back. We will see you out there on Sunday for a big NFL video, so stay tuned, and we will see you very, very soon.